Today, we need to have a very important conversation. If you're over 65 and planning to fly this year, there are new TSA policies in 2026 that could leave you stranded at the airport. And I've been watching it happen. Seniors showing up with IDs they've trusted for decades, only to be told they can't board their flight. Nobody warned them. Nobody sent a letter. Nobody explained that the rules completely changed. And here's what really gets me. These aren't careless travelers. These are people who planned ahead, arrived early, did everything they thought they were supposed to do. But the system changed around them, and now there's a $45 fee just to prove who you are if your license doesn't have the right marking. That fee started February 1st of this year. Are you ready for that? I recently heard about a 68-year-old woman named Patricia who showed up at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport to visit her new grandbaby. She had her license, she had her boarding pass, she had done this flight a dozen times before. But her license didn't have the star. She didn't know about the new ConfirmID process. By the time she figured it out, her flight was gone. She missed meeting her granddaughter on her first day home from the hospital. All because of a rule change nobody explained to her properly. I don't want that to happen to you, and that's exactly why I'm making this video. If you're finding this helpful and you want more insider travel tips that could save your next trip, take a second right now and hit that subscribe button. I make these videos specifically for travelers like you who deserve to know what's actually happening at airports. All right, here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to walk you through 8 critical things every senior traveler needs to know before flying in 2026. These aren't suggestions, these are the rules. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to handle each one. Let's get into it. Let's start with the one that's catching the most people off guard, the Real ID deadline. As of May 7, 2025, your standard driver's license is no longer valid for air travel. If it doesn't have that little star in the upper right corner, TSA will not let you through, period. And here's what nobody warned you about. Millions of seniors renewed their licenses by mail years ago and have absolutely no idea their ID isn't compliant. They show up at the airport with a license they've trusted for a decade, and suddenly they're told it doesn't work anymore. Now, starting February 1st of this year, TSA introduced something called ConfirmID. If you don't have a compliant license or a passport, you can pay a $45 fee to go through an alternative verification process. Sounds simple, right? Here's the problem. That process takes anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes or longer. And if TSA still can't verify your identity, you're not getting on that plane. The fee is non-refundable. You're out $45 and you're still stuck at the airport. Here's what you need to do right now. Take out your driver's license and look at the top right corner. Do you see a star? Some states use a gold star, some use a black star. Some have the star inside an outline of the state. If you see that star, you're fine. If your license says, "Federal limits apply," or there's no star at all, your license will not get you through TSA for domestic flights. If yours isn't compliant, don't panic. You have options. A valid U.S. passport or passport card works just as well. But if you don't have a passport and you need to upgrade your license, you have to visit your DMV in person. You cannot do this online. When you get there, say this: "I need to upgrade my license to a Real ID compliant license for air travel." Bring your birth certificate, your social security card, and 2 proofs of address. And schedule that appointment now because wait times are stretching weeks in many states. Remember Patricia from the beginning of this video? This is exactly what happened to her. Don't be Patricia. Check your ID today. Now let me tell you about something most travelers have never heard of. It's called TSA Cares, and it's completely free. This is a dedicated helpline specifically designed for travelers with disabilities, medical conditions, or anyone who needs extra assistance getting through security. And almost nobody knows it exists. Here's how it works. You call 855-787-2227 at least 72 hours before your flight. That's TSA Cares. You explain your situation, whatever it is. Maybe you have mobility issues. Maybe you're traveling with medical equipment. Maybe you just feel anxious about navigating a busy airport alone. They listen, and then they coordinate assistance at your specific airport. They can arrange for a passenger support specialist to meet you and guide you through the entire screening process. This isn't the same as wheelchair service, which you request through your airline. This is TSA-specific help for getting through security smoothly and with dignity. Here's exactly what you say when you call. I'm a senior traveler, and I'd like to request a passenger support specialist for my upcoming flight on this date at this airport. They'll take it from there. You can also submit a request online at tsa.gov if you prefer not to call. This service is free. It's your right. It exists specifically for travelers like you. And when you call ahead, you remove all the uncertainty. You'll know exactly what to expect before you even leave your house. Use it. Now here's something that changed in 2025 that actually makes your life easier. On July 8, 2025, TSA officially ended the shoes-off policy. That's right. After nearly 20 years of taking off your shoes at security, you can now keep them on. Everyone can. But here's what most seniors don't realize. If you're 75 or older, you have additional accommodations beyond what everyone else gets. And TSA agents don't always announce these rights. You have to know to ask. Here's what you're entitled to. As a traveler 75 and older, you can keep your light jacket on during screening, even in the standard security line. You don't need TSA PreCheck for this benefit. And if you walk through the metal detector and it alarms, you get a second pass-through before any pat-down is required. That's official TSA policy. One alarm doesn't automatically mean hands all over you. You get another chance first. Now, if a pat-down does become necessary, you can request to be seated during that screening. You don't have to stand there balancing while an officer checks you. And if you're in a wheelchair or scooter and you cannot stand or walk, you can remain seated in your mobility device for the entire screening process. The TSA officer will conduct the screening while you stay in your chair. Here's exactly what to say. If you need to stay seated, tell the officer, "I'm 75 years old and I'd like to remain seated for any additional screening." If someone asks you to remove your jacket, you can say, "I understand I'm entitled to keep my light jacket on as a traveler 75 and older." If you need to stay in your wheelchair, say, "I need to remain seated for screening due to mobility limitations." These aren't special favors. These are your rights under official TSA policy. Claim them. These accommodations exist because TSA recognizes that one-size-fits-all security doesn't work for everyone. You've earned the right to travel comfortably. Don't be shy about it. Now let's talk about something else you've earned. Pre-boarding. Under federal law, specifically the Air Carrier Access Act, airlines are required to let you board before everyone else if you need extra time to get settled. Before first class, before frequent flyers, before families with small children, before everyone. But here's the problem. Gate agents almost never announce this clearly. If you don't know to ask, you'll be waiting with your boarding group while the plane fills up around you. You qualify for pre-boarding if you need extra time to walk down the jet bridge, if you have difficulty lifting bags into overhead bins, if you use a cane or walker, if you simply feel more comfortable getting settled before 200 people are pushing down the aisle behind you. You don't need a wheelchair. You don't need a doctor's note. You don't need a visible disability. You just need to ask. Here's exactly what you do. Before boarding begins, approach the gate agent and say this: "I'd like to request pre-boarding because I need extra time to get settled." That's it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to explain your medical history. They are legally required to let you board early. I've heard stories of elderly couples who didn't know to ask. By the time their boarding group was called, the overhead bins near their seats were completely full. The husband, who used a cane, was exhausted just getting down the aisle through the crowd. There was no crew available to help because everyone was managing the chaos. If they had pre-boarded, they would have had space, time, and assistance. Please ask for pre-boarding. The crew wants you settled before the rush. It's safer for you and easier for everyone. Let's talk about wheelchair assistance, because this is where I see people make a critical mistake. If you need wheelchair help at the airport, you cannot just show up and ask for it. You need to request it at least 48 hours before your flight. Not at check-in, not at the curb when you arrive. 48 hours in advance. Here's why this matters so much. Airlines don't actually employ the wheelchair attendants themselves. They contract with third-party companies who staff based on advance requests. If you show up needing a wheelchair and you didn't pre-request it, you might wait 30 minutes or more for someone to become available. I've heard of seniors missing flights because they waited too long for wheelchair assistance that should have been arranged days earlier. Don't let that be you. Here's the insider truth. Wheelchair service is completely free on all U.S. airlines. This is protected under the Air Carrier Access Act. You don't owe anyone anything for this service. Tipping the attendant is optional and appreciated, but absolutely not required. The service itself costs you nothing. And here's something else most people don't know. Airlines are legally prohibited from leaving you unattended in a wheelchair for more than 30 minutes. If someone parks you somewhere and disappears, that's a federal regulation violation. Here's exactly what to do. When you book your ticket online, look for a section called Special Services or Accessibility Requests. Check the box for wheelchair assistance. Be specific about where you need help. Some people only need assistance from the gate to the plane. Others need it from the curb all the way through security, to the gate, onto the plane, and then reversed on arrival. If you're booking by phone, say this: I need wheelchair assistance from check-in to the gate and from the gate to baggage claim on arrival. Already booked your ticket without requesting it? Call the airline right now. Say, I have a flight on this date, and I need to add wheelchair assistance to my reservation. They'll update it in the system. Airports are massive. Gates are far. You're not imposing by asking for help. This service exists because you deserve it. Request it early and let the airline handle the logistics. Now let's clear up some major confusion about medications. I hear this myth constantly. Many seniors believe they must keep their pills in the original prescription bottles or TSA will confiscate them. That is not true for domestic flights. TSA does not require your medications to be in original pharmacy bottles. You can travel with a pill organizer. You can use a Ziploc bag. You can organize your medications however works best for you. However, the rules for liquid medications are different. This is important. If you're traveling with insulin, liquid antibiotics, or any medically necessary liquid over 3.4 ounces, you must declare it at the start of screening. These liquids are exempt from the standard 311 rule, but TSA needs to know about them. They'll test the liquids, which is completely normal procedure. It's not suspicion. It's protocol. Here's what you do. For pills, keep them in your carry-on bag. Never pack medications in checked luggage. Bags get lost. Bags get delayed. Your heart medication cannot get lost. For liquids, remove them from your bag before you reach the conveyor belt. Tell the TSA officer, I have medically necessary liquids that exceed 3.4 ounces. They'll pull them aside, test them, and you'll be on your way in a couple of minutes. One more tip. While TSA doesn't require a prescription or doctor's note, having one can speed things up if questions arise. Consider keeping a photo of your prescriptions on your phone or a printed list in your bag. It's not required, but it's helpful. Your medications are your lifeline. Keep them with you, where you control them, always. Now let's talk about something that causes a lot of anxiety for travelers with medical devices. If you have a pacemaker, an implanted defibrillator, a CPAP machine, artificial joints, or a portable oxygen concentrator, there are specific screening procedures you need to know about. And here's the problem. TSA won't always tell you what to do. They expect you to know. So let me make sure you do. If you have a pacemaker or implanted defibrillator, you should not go through the standard walk-through metal detector. I'll say that again because it's important. Do not go through the metal detector. The TSA website specifically states that individuals with pacemakers should request advanced imaging technology screening, which is the body scanner, instead. Consult your physician before flying to confirm this applies to your specific device. When you reach the checkpoint, tell the officer immediately, I have a pacemaker and should not go through the walk-through metal detector. I'd like to request AIT screening. They will direct you to the body scanner instead. Now, if you have artificial hips, knee replacements, or other metal implants, those will almost certainly trigger the metal detector. That's unavoidable. But here's what helps. Before you step into the screening area, tell the TSA officer, I have a metal implant in my hip, or wherever it is. If you request AIT screening before going through the metal detector, you reduce the likelihood of needing a pat-down. Carry your device identification card from your doctor if you have one. It's not required, but it speeds up the conversation. For CPAP, BiPAP, and APAP machines, there's a specific rule most travelers don't know. Your machine must be removed from its carrying case for X-ray screening. The face mask and tubing can stay in the case, but the machine itself comes out. Do this before you reach the conveyor belt so you're not fumbling at the last second. Some travelers put their CPAP in a clear plastic bag for easier inspection. That's optional, but helpful. If you use a portable oxygen concentrator, inform the TSA officer whether you can disconnect from it during screening. If you can disconnect, the device goes through the X-ray and you proceed through the scanner. If you cannot disconnect, tell them, "I have a portable oxygen concentrator and I cannot disconnect during screening." They'll conduct an alternate inspection while you remain connected. These devices keep you alive and mobile. TSA has procedures specifically designed to screen them safely. You just need to know what to say. Now here's something we don't talk about enough. Invisible disabilities. Not every condition that affects your travel is visible. Maybe you have chronic pain that makes standing in long lines unbearable. Maybe you have severe arthritis that slows you down. Maybe you experience anxiety in crowded, chaotic environments. Maybe you're managing early cognitive decline that makes unfamiliar situations overwhelming. None of these show up on the outside, but all of them are real, and all of them qualify you for accommodation. Under the Air Carrier Access Act, you can request extra time, priority seating, escort assistance, and screening modifications without a visible mobility device. You do not need a doctor's note for most of these accommodations. You don't need to prove anything. At the gate, say this: "I have a disability that's not immediately visible, and I need extra time to board." At security, say, "I have a medical condition, and I'd like to request a passenger support specialist." TSA also offers a notification card you can print from their website. It describes your condition discreetly, so you can hand it to an officer without explaining your entire medical history out loud. If you're traveling with someone who has dementia or a cognitive disability, tell the officer, "My companion has a cognitive disability, and we need to stay together during screening." They will accommodate you. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to prove you're disabled enough. If you need extra time or assistance, ask for it. These systems exist to serve you. Before I let you go, if you're getting value from this video and you want to make sure you never miss an insider tip that could save your next trip, take 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button right now. I make these videos specifically for travelers who deserve to know what's really happening at airports, and I've got a lot more coming. All right, let's do a quick recap of everything we covered today because this is important. Number 1, we talked about the Real ID reality check. If your license doesn't have that star in the corner, it will not get you through TSA anymore. And if you don't have an acceptable alternative, you're looking at a $45 fee and a very long screening process that might not even work. Check your ID today. Number 2, we covered TSA Cares, the free assistance program most travelers have never heard of. Call 855-787-2227 at least 72 hours before your flight, and they'll coordinate help at your specific airport. Number 3, we talked about the screening accommodations for travelers 75 and older. You can keep your shoes and light jacket on. You can request a second pass through the detector before any pat-down, and you can ask to be seated during screening. These are your rights. Number 4, pre-boarding. Federal law requires airlines to let you board before everyone else if you need extra time. You don't need a wheelchair or a doctor's note. Just ask. Number 5, wheelchair assistance. Request it 48 hours in advance. It's completely free, and the airline cannot leave you unattended for more than 30 minutes. Number 6, medication rules. Your pills don't need to be in original bottles for domestic TSA screening, but liquid medications must be declared. Keep everything in your carry-on. Number 7, medical device screening. If you have a pacemaker, request AIT screening instead of the metal detector. If you have a CPAP, remove it from the case for X-ray. Know what to say before you get to the checkpoint. And number 8, invisible disabilities. You don't need a visible condition to request accommodations. Chronic pain, anxiety, cognitive challenges, All of these qualify. Speak up. Here's one final bonus tip. If you're traveling alone, tell your flight attendant during boarding. Just say, "Hi, I'm traveling alone today and I wanted to let you know in case I need assistance." That simple heads up means the crew knows to check on you. You won't be hovering over or treated like a child, but if there's turbulence, if you need help reaching the bathroom, if anything happens, they already know you might need a hand. You deserve to travel safely and comfortably. These rules and accommodations exist because you've earned them. Don't be afraid to speak up, ask questions, and advocate for yourself. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe right now so you don't miss my next one. I've got videos coming up on how to handle canceled flights, what to do if your luggage gets lost, and the travel secrets that can save you hundreds of dollars. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.